What is up, dreamers and soul searchers? Today I have a very special video for you. Highly, highly, highly requested. We have a nice collaboration between me and Mr. Joseph Alai. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for reaching out to me.
Yes, absolutely. You are the #1 requested collaboration on my channel. So I know people are going to be very excited to see this.
I'm honored to hear that. So I'm excited for this too.
Be sure you guys go head over to Joseph's channel to check out part 1 of this video. We're talking all kinds of stuff about our own practices, our own success stories, how we live our lives as manifestation masters. These are our best practices, so enjoy. So, okay, let me ask you a question then. What would you say is the most important thing that you do to keep yourself on track with your practice and in your mindset and just going day by day?
I think what I would say is observing my thoughts, and I guess at the most base level is observing my thoughts and not allowing my mind to go to places that I don't want to experience in real life. Because just that little thing alone, if I can identify something coming in, like when I used to drive, I used to think of horrible things happening in front of me when I drove, just randomly. Or if I had a girlfriend, I would imagine that she would leave me or cheat on me or something like that. And through my past experiences, if you look at the map of my life, you can see where that negative thinking has brought me. So I feel like the most important thing to cultivating a life that's not bad is just simply not allowing those thoughts to happen, which just means observing them and then switching them to something that I would either just stop thinking about it altogether and just focus on something else, or deliberately choose something of my desire and then imagining that as opposed to that negative thing. That has saved me so much grief in my life. But not only that, because it's also an opportunity when something negative comes in. If I'm catching it, I'm already mindful at that moment. And so therefore I can switch it. So each is an opportunity to choose something that I want instead. So turning a negative into a positive potential yeah. So I think that, as far as the most base, I mean, there's a lot of other things and we can talk about that too, but for the bare minimum, that is kind of the most important common denominator. What about you?
Yeah, I would say the same thing since you already said it. I'm going to say you have to be doing that. And that's the one thing that that's missing from the traditional manifesting shit is like, how do I make it from 9:31 to 9:32? And it's fucking hard. Like, how do I deal with it? Just really being in there. But another part of my practice that is so crucial, and maybe of course, I am adding weight to it. I'm making it just the big thing, but scripting is just, when I don't script, I feel like I'm off the rails. Like 3 days into not scripting, and I feel like the walls are tumbling around me. Like, just I cannot. It's so much to handle. And then when I'm scripting, it's like it's almost like the wings are staying afloat or something, or afloat, adrift. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Just
There's wind beneath my wings, and it just, like, the scripting is so important. And what I've really noticed is that when I script at night, I script like my world that I'm living in and affirmations basically. And that's the world I live in the next day. If I scripted about it at night, then I better go live in it the next day, or else I might as well have just went to sleep, because I'm undoing that opportunity, or I'm missing the opportunity to occupy that space that I have said I am inhabiting with my intentions or whatever. And that's, going back to like this, the keeping your mind where it needs to be, is that if you're setting these intentions or you're setting these manifestations, these are the things that you want. Like you said earlier, you have to be that. You have to be it now. You have to behave like it. And that version of you is not stressing about the shit that you're stressing about, that's bringing about the things that you don't want. That person is on a different thought process. And it's probably a lot like the observed, chosen, pre-approved thoughts. So making those shifts, there's so many benefits. And even if the only benefit that came from it was that you feel better throughout the day, is it not worth it just for that alone?
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know why some people like fight for the opportunity to think negatively or to think the worst
Oh
about,
yeah.
you know?
Probably because they don't really know what's happening, but I hear you. I can relate to you on what you just said, the last thing. But okay, so I do something very similar, but and I want to tell you about it, but I want to ask you like, okay, so when you script, so you're scripting from the point of view of you in the future, or can you explain to me just a little bit so I
Yeah.
can be on the same page with that?
Yeah. So the way I've been saying it recently is like it's kind of like a letter home from summer camp of my dreams, right? So I'm like,
Right.
like everything's working out. You know, the universe has my back. Everything always works out for me. People respect me. They love me. They love to be around me. People have nice things to say to me on YouTube, and I love my life. I get to have fun. I enjoy myself, and a lot of times it's kind of just like correcting. I see it as like correcting the you know, almost like the steering wheel. It's shifting it when we're getting off track. It kind of gets me back in place. So I really just try to describe the ideal current, maybe potential like near future. But it's like, you know, this is it now. This is how people treat me. This is how money comes. Business is booming, helping millions of people, growing, growing, growing. Everything's working out. I feel so good. Yeah, like that kind of shit.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, and I can relate a lot to what you're saying. Take what I said before, which is the observing of thoughts. That's just like the bare minimum has the impact. But the one thing that I utilize more than anything else is doing very similar to what you do. And so I have a journal. Well, I have many now, but I basically will bullet point my as if I'm from the future, just listing down various different traits, either like just how you said, kind of how the world is operating, how my life is. But then one thing I've been focused on a lot for the past probably year straight is beliefs in general. So I'll write down from the point of view of the future what my beliefs are. And so, but I'll do this all throughout the day, not like literally I'm just sitting down all day. But if something comes up, so say something negative happens or something happens that I realize that I still have an old belief that's been undealt with, I'll sit down and I'll write like 10 to 15 different bullet points on how what my belief really is, right? When I say really is, I mean just from the future when it's changed to what I want
Mm-hmm.
and from all different angles. So, say for instance, I bump into someone and they're nasty to me. What I'll do is I'll write down something like, people are very nice to me. I cultivate amazing relationships. People always have nice things to say. People perceive me in a great way. And then I'll just keep going on and on to kind of beat the dead horse on so many different levels. And
Mm-hmm.
then I will just let it go. Now, if and now this depends though. If it's something that's really bothering me, then I'm gonna have to take a different approach because it's gonna keep bugging me. But generally, if I set it and then kind of let it go and nothing interferes, then it'll probably be within the next day or the next opportunity that kind of is presented, something will happen and it will then make me believe in the new trait that I wrote down the day before, which is kind of
Right.
like what I've surmised is happening. But that is because it's so simple, just scripting, writing some bullet points down, kind of reading it through of from the point of view of the life that I want to have. And it could be that simple, that minimum effort, you know?
Minimum effort, maximum results.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's interesting because I like that you do it in the moment because I generally just like do it at the end. Like I try to undo it as I'm falling asleep. That's the last thing I do as I'm falling asleep is scripting and kind of doing the same thing. But I'm gonna work that into my. I like the idea of doing it in the moment when it's happening, and just being kind of like present with it and not letting it sit too much. I mean, I'm pretty good at it. It's just, you know, as you get good at something, you also get lax at it. You know, like
Oh
you
yeah.
stop working so hard to maintain
Oh yeah.
it. It's like, I got this. And that's when it like you start to slack. That's when I notice when I'm not scripting, I kind of feel that way. Oh, I wanted to say this. You brought up something that I say to people too, and it's like, okay, so a lot of times, like you'll script something, and within 24 to 48 hours, it seems, I explain it like a test, but it's almost like you studied, you did your homework. Here's your test. Do you pass or fail? No big deal if you don't, but if you don't pass, then you have to take it over again, right? So you scripted about it. People treat me with respect. then I go out and someone is rude to me in my life, that's my opportunity right there to, you know what? People are so nice to me. They're always great, and not react to it because I have to prove whatever and in whatever way that I am actually in that reality. So it's like you are presented with it. Sometimes I feel like sometimes it's a negative, like almost like a negative, like it's a test,
Could
and
be.
sometimes it's just like here it is. But
Yeah.
comes really fast if you just don't, if you kind of like be hands off with it. You know, it like this shit doesn't take long, and that's another
Yeah.
thing that people don't realize. It's like
Yep.
it shouldn't take you super long to.
Nope, you're absolutely right. And like, yes, there are exceptions to that.
Right.
Obviously, like
Right.
something that needs time to like be cultivated will. But yeah, and yes, I have seen things. Either it comes and it just comes and it's easy, but yes, there will be times for sure where it'll come. But if you've already done the work the day before, it's already fresh in your mind. So when the situation arises, you're just like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
And then you just like do the proper thing and then that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
And
interesting.
it literally is like that's like your test. All it really is. It's just like, oh, are you in your reality that you said you were in? Okay, cool. You are in your reality. You said
Yes.
it's that easy. You don't have to like push so hard, or like I people exert so much effort in the wrong area. I'm like, exert your effort in paying attention to what you're thinking throughout your day. That's where the effort needs to be. Is
Yes.
listening and monitoring and paying attention, and then obviously flipping that shit out of there because you can't just observe. You have to do the
Exactly.
have to do
Exactly.
the bucket too.
And it is work. Like at
Mhm.
first, it is work. And even later, it can be work on a new topic that maybe you haven't addressed in the past. It's going to be freaking work.
Mhm.
But it does get easier. For me personally, I never was a fan of just meditating. I don't have that attention span. I get really restless and I just wasn't I don't know. It just I don't like it. But it's good. It's a good tool because it can relax your mind. It can help you to be better at observing without reacting. There's a lot of positive benefits. I'm not knocking it, just for me it just like bothers me. I still do it sometimes. But my point is that when I'm observing, it is it is kind of like I don't even know how to say this properly. The act of observing itself is being present, and that is what meditating is. So if you are like me and just don't like to meditate, if you just keep your eye on your thoughts and are observing what's happening, you're going to watch manifestations come in. You're going to be observing what you're thinking is creating things. Like there's all these benefits that are the same side effect of just being present with your awareness and like meditating, and then ultimately that observing of thoughts and that observing of manifestations come in. Not only do you then get to see how manifestations happen, like tracing them back to your thoughts, but you're more peaceful and then you have an easier time monitoring your thoughts. And then, yeah, it just has a lot of benefits. Basically, what I'm saying is like the act of writing things down or imagining things and then observing reality, not only for negative thoughts to get those out of the way, but then observing for manifestations to come in, it has like a compound effect of like making your mind more peaceful as it is, which gives you more control over your thoughts, which gives you more power to manifest. And then it's just like a cycle that like happens, right? That just happens naturally. That's what happened to me anyway. So that's just another thing that I kind of realized was happening to me during the process of learning how to manifest. Like it takes that work, but it's worth it and then it gets easier.
Mhm. Exactly. And the other thing too, it's like as you become better at it and have that calming, that chilling process of like, you know what, let me just be hands off. You you stress less about shit that you're manifesting because you know that it's going to come. If it's not here yet, then it's still brewing, and I have patience and I'm okay. And just
Yep.
being that way, I'm patient, I can wait. You're manifesting patience. Figure out who you want to be or how you want to be, what you want to be, what you want to experience, and then like adopt it. Kind of like how kids are in Halloween. I'm Rick Sanchez or whatever. Like I am what I am, and that's it. And no one's gonna test me on it because right now that's who I am. And
Yeah.
you take on that persona and you just like hammer it in there. If you want to be that, cool. You already are it. You are it now. Show me. What do you do? What do you talk about? How do you feel? What's your life like? Explain it. You are it now. Just build that story out in your mind and then live like that's happening or unfolding soon on its way. You just without question, without doubt, and keep that energy focus on keeping the thoughts in check. Instead of using it to worry and stress, use it to
Yeah.
pay attention to the thoughts.
Yes, which is a much easier way to think from the point of view of the person that you want to be, battling out those thoughts versus just waiting, like a sitting duck, waiting for negative thoughts to come in, you know?
Totally.
I just recorded a video just like a little while ago. It'll probably come out in like a week or two, but because you said something else about knowing that something's going to happen and like for me, I test a lot of things. We'll put it in that context because like and I'll make sure I try to manifest as many things as I possibly can because I'm always looking for another result to add to my positive bank of experiences. And I say this a lot in my videos when I get the chance, but one of the first things that I was taught when it came to manifesting was to keep track of everything that I had done. And the person said it like this, like, because then on a rainy day when you're like doubting or you're in fear, or you don't think it's going to happen, you just look back on or you look in your journal where you see the last 50 manifestations that happened.
Mm.
And then you know, like, okay, I've taken this action. I've done what I did last time. The last 10 times I've done this, I've gotten the result, whether it took a day or a week or a month. And so now I've taken the same action today. So I know this is going to happen. We can have like blind faith, but that can still be scary when we know that this works, when we know that we've tested it. And that's why, like, if you have like, for anyone who's watching, if you have a huge manifestation and you're putting all your focus on that manifestation, that's all that you want, you don't care about anything else, there's sometimes problems that arise because you don't even know that it works yet. Take a small example that's very similar to what you want, that big thing, and try it out on various other things and then keep track of your results so that you know that this big thing is going to come because you've just done 10 other experiments just like it and those have come to pass, you know? So I think for me, one of the reasons, like a lot of people ask, like, how do you build the faith or how do you whatever? For me, faith just means like belief, not even belief, but the fact of my experience, knowing what's happened in the past. I've done this before countless, unnumbered times. I'm going to do it again. It's going to work just like it did every time before. You know, so that to me also was another thing that kind of changed my life. Just I have books and books and books and books, probably, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 pages of manifestations that if I ever doubt for some reason, just take a book off the shelf, open it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna happen, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. I was just telling people, to make sure that you recognize that doubt for what it is, which is just bullshit, like more limiting beliefs that, just another thing that you need to monitor and not let yourself listen to. I think for a lot of people, there's stuff that we can believe in right away or that we do just fucking believe in. And there's stuff that we're like, nah, it's going to take some convincing. And if
That's
it's not the thing you believe already, okay, fine. Convince yourself. And the
yeah,
way you do that is by like taking every single time you want to think that it's not possible or it doesn't work or you're all the other things and just reminding yourself, no, we're good here. It's working. It's okay.
it does
And
work. Yeah.
just gotta you gotta get all of that shit out of there. None of your thoughts are exempt from examination and like turning the volume up, turn it to something better, turn it to something that works for you instead of saying something that works against you. Because again, you have the choice. You don't have to think that thought about that thing. You can change
Yes.
the way you think it. And then after you do that enough times, not that long, it changes your mind. You
Yeah.
change your own mind by just not letting yourself think that shit all day long.
And you can even manifest yourself believing different things,
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
Which is like that's what I'll do. Like if my mind has something that I know isn't serving me, then I'm gonna want to observe that and make sure I don't keep having that thought because whether something is true or whether like a belief, whether it's true or false, it'll manifest in that form. So if something's happening and I don't like the way that I'm thinking about that, I know it's not serving me, then I'm gonna observe it and I'm gonna try to switch that, just like you said, as many times as it takes. And then also, I take my little handy dandy notebook, I put it down in front of me, I write down, I believe whatever. I believe this is possible. I believe I can manifest anything that I want. I trust that I can manifest anything that I want. I am confident that I can manifest anything that I want. And then by listing those things in a scripting format, now you're working with yourself, you're modifying your thoughts as they come up, and now you're going to transform yourself by manifestation to becoming a person who believes I am confident that I can manifest anything that I want, you know? It's like a little shortcut too, you know, just manifest it, watch it, observe it, flip it, and yeah, beliefs can really get in the way. You know, if you don't believe that you can get this thing, and then, but you're working against yourself, something is going to give at some point, you know, and it's just like, yeah, that's why we got to monitor and change our thoughts.
Use manifesting to get better at manifesting.
Yes.
Like, you can just say you're an expert manifester. I'm really good at this. This is really easy for me when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Oh man, this is easy. I got this. I'm so good at this. I'm so good at keeping my thoughts on track. You know, it you just that's the world you live in. If you decide that's who you are and that's the rules by which you live, then follow the fucking rules you just put up, and that's the life you live. It's that simple. You know, we are all just little tiny specks of something controlling our own little world. So just use that to your advantage, because nobody out there cares that you're manifesting. Like you said earlier, if it's bad, like no, you're already doing it, and you worrying that it's bad is just bringing more shit for you to worry about. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
more worries in your life, and there's no need for it. You don't have to live that way.
Yeah. I totally agree. Totally agree. And I feel like ultimately at the end of the day, that's all it comes down to is just like what you said, our little awareness space that you're in, that I'm in, like that is my domain. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks, feels, believes, tells us. None of that stuff matters. And whatever we want, we can have. It like all things are possible. So just utilize the most powerful thing that we have within us is the power to manifest. Nothing supersedes that.
Right.
From that power, all things exist outside of us. And so cultivating that, I know for you and I know for me, it is the most important thing. And the payoff is beyond anything that you can even fathom, or actually it is what you can imagine.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Exactly.
So,
There's
yeah.
just like, there is no other option. How could you find this out and not want to do everything in your power to master it? I don't know, maybe I just like, if I'm on a bucking bronco, let me figure out how to ride it. Like that's all I need to know. Just that's it. That's all it
Yes.
is. Even a mouse in a maze. If I'm a mouse and there's a cheese somewhere in this maze, I'm gonna fucking find it. That's
Yeah.
all. That's it.
And if you don't believe it, and if someone doesn't believe it, then put it to the test and just test it. If you don't believe that you are the one that is in control of this, if you don't believe that you're the one that that can manifest anything, if you think there's some easier, softer way, or if you want to just chip away at the world with brute force and just getting the same thing you've always got, it's cool, but it's not, because there is an easier, softer way, and that is manifesting. Manifesting is the easier, softer way, you know? And so for me, it's the only way. What's the other option? Just like you said, what's the other option?
You were talking about the testing. If you don't believe it, testing, when we have these big things, make that big thing less big, because
Yeah,
the more weight you give it, the more weight it has, and it's nothing. It's
I
as
agree.
simple as, if you're gonna manifest $1, it is the same process as manifesting the love of your life. You know,
Literally.
literally, it's all the same shit. So make yourself stop stressing or worrying or doubting or fearing or insecuritying by flipping, monitoring, catching, getting that stuff out of your mind, and reminding yourself whenever you start to make that thing big that, you know what, I can have that too. That's not even a big deal. It's not even a big deal. It's as easy as everything else. I already have all this stuff coming my way. I'm not even worried about that thing. I have so many other things to focus on. Diminish this thing, because the smaller you make it, the more insignificant it becomes in your mind, the easier it's going to be meant to manifest, just like the bullshit stuff that we do throughout the day that we don't care about. Make it like that. Put that idea, that energy onto the stuff that's big. Make it small. Yeah, I'll take that whenever it's ready. Thanks.
Yes.
Try and let it
No.
do its
Yep.
thing, you know?
Yep. 100%. The bigger it is, the more resistance internally it is, the more doubts arise, the more effort and energy you put towards it. And it's just like you said, it's really just reiterating the same thing, but there is no difference. The technique is the same, the input of effort is the same, and the output of manifestation is exactly the same as anything else. Yes, there's some variables as far as when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, but none of that, it doesn't matter. You're setting the same imaginal act. You're doing the same thing, and you're going to have that same output just as easy. There's no more effort involved.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
totally.
the reality with the dollar and the reality with the love of your life are both there and equally accessible already. There's no effort needs to be exerted, and that's why when you do exert effort, you get more shit to effort about.
Yes.
You know, it's like if you live in a world of effort, you're damn right you live in a world of effort.
Yes.
That's all. End of
It,
manifestation, end of story. Lots
yeah.
of effort. I have to do a lot of work to get this. Oh, you're right, you sure do.
Well,
What?
it's the same thing as like business. I grew up. What I was taught is that if you work very, very hard, you will make money or whatever. You'll be successful, which is just as true as if I don't work hard, I can make a lot of money. Both
Yeah.
are equally true depending on what you put in your mind. So, and it's yeah. So just choose the ease, choose whatever you want, and you can have it if you want to. I worked myself to death. Oh
Mm.
my, not. I mean, whatever. It's a figure of speech for
Close.
years and years and years. Experience utter failure, time and time again, burnout, suffering, and then it just came to my attention that that is not how I had to do things. And just as quick as I changed my mind to the alternative, which is not working as much and receiving much, much more, that is what I got. That is what I got. So,
I'm the same way. Like I will work myself to the grave probably, and I don't want to do that. I want to learn how to enjoy life and you know enjoy the fruits of my labor and actually get the benefit of what I'm doing. And so thank you for that. I really want to work in this idea of I barely have to work and I make so much money. That's going to be my new life.
thing. And sometimes, dude, sometimes it's just as simple as, oh, I can do that. That's right. Because you don't like, I mean, this is for me too. I have the same thing. I love working. I love creating. I love having outcomes that I did. But I can choose that. I can choose. It doesn't have to be a forceful necessity to uphold my business to work 80 hours a week anymore. That's just not how it has to be. I can have it so X amount of hours input required, maybe the bare minimum, and then focus my effort on projects that I enjoy. Like lately, I've been programming a lot. I love creating. I love seeing things that I make, being on the internet and hitting a bunch of people. It's all about like recognizing that, and then you just make that simple choice just like you said, and then you'll watch how everything reshuffles itself like a deck of cards, and then everything is easy and whatever. If you could say one thing to the people that are watching this as it relates to integrating manifestation into your life or whatever, what would you say?
Give yourself the opportunity to put in some work and see some results or not see some results before you decide something is or isn't. I think that a lot of us are looking for instant gratification, and that's okay. Um, but we need to understand that instant isn't always instant, So put the work in and keep going no matter what may come along on your process, even if it feels like everything's working against you or the opposite things are happening. Just keep trying, just keep pushing through, and much like a regular diet, like you might not see progress on your body for a full month, working out every day and eating right, but you still do it because ultimately you will be able to see the results. And same with your manifestational process. When you are making this a habit and a discipline and a practice day in, day out, we're not taking time off. You want to give yourself room to develop the practice, put it into place. Making a habit is not one day, it's a habit. It's every day, day in, today, tomorrow, next day, 3 weeks from now, 3 years from now, hopefully. So give yourself time. If you don't see crazy results right away, good, it means it's working. That's it. That's all you can tell, you need to tell yourself, because you want to stay in the mindset or in the reality of a place where it's working. So when you see zero results, damn, this is working. Wow, I'm so good at this. You got to keep going with that, because if you don't, you're just, again, like you said, back to square one. And in my opinion, if you're just going to keep going back and forth doing that shit, I would just not do any of it, because it would just be, it's so much effort with no payoff. I would just rather go out and live my life the way I was before versus trying and failing. But once I made it my mission to practice it and be it all the time, I was it.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. And what something you just said, and I'll wrap up with this too. It reminds me of back when in the beginning, is it working? Is it not working? Is it going to work? That was a question that entered my mind a lot. And so I could totally relate to that. And yes, you have to stick with the mindset that it is working despite the results that you're getting, because ultimately it's going to push towards that direction. It is a law, and you must utilize, you take a certain action and then you get a reaction from that. But I think, and so I agree with you. And so I think for my like kind of thing that I would close with is you will receive the results. You will. There's zero question, right? And just as you said, affirming what you said, you push forward. One of the things that helped me more than anything else in the beginning was to look at it as proving it right. And what I mean by that is taking various techniques and you know it's going to work. Take our word for it. It is going to work. So you look at it from that perspective, and you just look at which of these is going to work best for me, which technique is going to work best for me. And so then you can try all the techniques, all the things, and just write down experiments, test it out, try it out. I would do 10 things, 15 things per day. Doesn't matter what it is. Script it, visualize it, use an inner conversation, keep track of those things every single day. Doesn't matter. Eventually, you're going to have so many things, right? Maybe the first day you might not see a bunch of things, but eventually, if you write down 100 things, after the days go on, 200 things, 300 things, things are going to fly your way. Visualizing, same thing. It will, it must. It's a law that it will happen. Just keep your eyes open. Look at it as which of these is going to work for me. Not if it works, it's going to work. Just that little mindset switch, and then keeping track of things. And for me, that's what made all the difference. I guess, like, as a conclusion, like, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I thought this was awesome. I really loved what you had to say about all the things that you said. I definitely learned a lot of things from you as well. And I always get really excited when I have a conversation like this, which I don't always have the opportunity to do so. So again, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm super grateful.
Thank you so much, Joseph, for being on the channel. I'm so excited. I can't wait for everyone to see this. Make sure you check out part 1 on his channel, because there's a bunch of stuff in that video that you need to see too, that's going to help you stay on track and become the best manifestor that you possibly can.
That's a fact.
Thank you so much, Joseph. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you're feeling generous, please like and share. That helps us reach as many people as possible. And everyone deserves to know that they're in complete control of their reality. We're all raising our vibrations together. You have the power. I believe in you.
Great. Love that.